Okay, all right, we're still looking at issues of security there. Now, a bit away from abductions now, we also know that in the southwest, we had issues of farmers, herders, clashes altogether. And then in certain men, it seems like these days we're having men singling out themselves. I think for the abductions, we can single out Sheikh Gumi, and from the farmers, herders, clashes, a man came out, Sunday Ademo, also popularly known as Sunday Igboho, who told the Fulani herders to evict, who ordered an eviction for the Fulani herders, and this caused lots of turmoil in the state. And he has been going from state to state in southwest states. And recently, yesterday, there was a bit of controversy on saying that security operatives were trying to arrest him, and then there was also a statement from the DSS saying no, they did not arrest him. But in the visual of what we saw there, Sunday Igboho removed the shirt, and we also saw a car there, Operation Burst. Now, can you, when you saw this things, I think we're having a bit of controversies there, what actually came to your mind there? Because Sunday Igboho is still insisting that it was security agencies that were trying to arrest him, and that is not going to stop him from doing what he wants to do to save the Yoruba nation.
Although, after the incidents, later in the night yesterday, he addressed some selected journalists. One thing there is this. The one of East Network, Southeast Network, is a little bit different from the one of Sunday Igboho. Yes, because one, there is no way, no matter how we are bittered because of the level of insecurity in the country and unchallenged attitude of the federal government, we cannot still have, in the guise of any name, put some people together well-armed. No, it's not still bottling. But the one on Sunday Igboho, yesterday, it is before, because one thing that I like Sunday Igboho for is that it's like he has some certain online journalists with him, so they anywhere they go with that, so that assuming there was no video, then it could have easily deported. Truly, when he was coming from Ibadan, coming to Lagos along Ibadan expressway, they met some certain soldiers, and there are some certain police officers and DSS, and anything that has to do with DSS, that is intelligent guardian, that means he has been tailed before that particular period. If DSS want to pick somebody up, they won't pick you up the right time. They have been there about 12 hours, 14 hours ago. So he has been told they want him to leave his comfort zone and come to Ibadan Expressway. But the way he moves, I've seen him move more than 5 times. He doesn't move like the way we normally move. If you move like this, they always go like nothing less than 50 people. And they are well shamed. That one is a fact. So immediately they have to attack, they have to stop them. They were trying to, they even asked, who is Sunday Igboho? Who is Sunday Igboho? He has to just come out and they won't do whatever you want to do. And because of that, maybe they have to look at situation that they don't want to have a collateral damage. So what they have to do, they have to allow him to go and do his business.
But why is Sunday Igboho now a matter of, or should we be putting our focus? They were talking about abduction, we're talking about reduced police officers. These people that were so-called or supposedly there, even though they allegedly said they didn't come to arrest Sunday Igboho, can't we put them in the right place? So let's put priority here.
No. Let me quickly address the Sunday Igboho issue too. First of all, I love Sunday Igboho, all right? But in a normal sane society, there shouldn't be a Sunday Igboho. In the same way, Eastern Security Network, we are not living in normal times. Just like the defense minister foolishly told us, I use that word guardedly, to say what? To defend ourselves. Hey, we have people who can defend ourselves, and I'm using that English too, not English. We have people who can defend ourselves, as in us. They will defend us. They are the means by which we will defend ourselves. All right. Now, 2 things here, or 3. The fact that there is a Sunday Igboho, the fact that there is an Eastern Security Network, is a failure. Not of federal government only, but a failure of the state governors, the state government, the leaders in those states. Right? Number 2, we must know that 2 things: we are at war, right? Secondly, we don't have anybody fighting that war for us. That's more dangerous. So what are we left with? We are left to defend ourselves. And so that means that this is not the time to quote books. The constitution, by the fact that we are at war and there is no government to regulate that war for us, they have thrown the constitution into dustbin. They have thrown the country to the dogs. So, but we have now our lives to live. So what are we doing? We have to fend for ourselves. And that means that no hold is bad so long as we have security for our lives and our family. It means that we have to explore all windows to save ourselves. Right now, that's where we are. So any talk, we cannot talk in exclusion of anything. We are in a free reign. First of all, let's save ourselves, then we can face the front. For Sunday Igboho, you are talking about priorities. Look, I am sorry to be the bearer of bad news. This country right now is tottering at its seams. There is no leadership. We are, when they say, right now we are even going beyond the failed states, right? We are just living. The governor that you thought is watching for you, he's watching for himself. Opens the man for instance in Imo State, he's afraid of what Richards will do for him, to him, even while in power. So everything is taken every day. He's now in fight Richards. He's not thinking about the Imo guy. That's the governor of a state. The guys in the north, the governors in the north, are not thinking about the people they are abducting. They are even scared because they can see that the bandits have more powers than they. Then they say Gumi. If Gumi, out of the 3 militias that we are breeding now, like Sunday Igboho, Eastern, Gumi of the 3 is the most dangerous. And in a sane society, I say in a sane society, Gumi should be arrested. Before, when it's arrested, it should be tortured to show them the road to the criminals. And the fact that there's a Gumi and the northerners are seeing him, they are silent, show that the northerners themselves, their leaders, governors and traditional and religious leaders, all know
I think they dissociated themselves from Sheikh Gumi.
No, that is grammar and that's talk. Then hold on, they know where Gumi is, so through Gumi they know where the criminals are. And so in a normal society, when you know what you need, what every government needs, is where are the criminals. Once you know where the criminals are, you have the machinery to neutralize them, right? But in this case, you know where the criminals are. You even have the machinery to neutralize them, but you don't have the mind, which you call political will. So we're in a trouble. There is what we are talking today in this country. We shouldn't be saying it in 2021. We should be talking about what they call it, driverless cars. Things people are talking about.
From the Regina, that this emphasis, now I'm still going back to this emphasis on Sunday Igboho, why security agencies are after Sunday Igboho. But we also know that other past news.
It's also part of what they're doing to the Eastern Security Network.
Okay, let's
Sunday Igboho is the only one standing between.
Let's talk from the Regina.
Let us look at it holistically. I can tell you, if Nigerian military police officers cannot protect this country, it's not the East Network that will protect people. Sunday Igboho cannot protect the Southwest. Let us put it on ground.
Okay.
If with police officers, military officers that we have in this country, with their architecture, with their training, with what they have, if they are finding it difficult to protect this country, it's not the Northeast Network that will really protect us or Sunday will protect us. I know that they are children of circumstance, because if those vacuum have been filled, they wouldn't have been them. Another thing. But the one of Sunday Igboho, I think there are some certain statements that is made. I was thinking for the DSS that they were looking at from what he has said. But they need to tread cautiously, because one thing there is that Nigeria has been divided along ethnic and religious lines to the extent that even the so-called elite that are supposed to have a thinking cap, that thinking of religion, ethnicity is inside their head. So when anybody wants to talk, they will look from the point of religion, from form of ethnicity, and it has divided Nigeria more. And the government of the day is not even helping matters in terms of utterances, in terms of body language, then in terms of the hate speaking. When they speak, you will know that their speech will tend towards a particular ethnic group. So all these things cumulated together is still creating more problem for us to even fight this particular one. But one thing that is very, very important, that if government is serious, no matter in any country that I've known, there is no way. if a government really wants to fight this banditry, and they have to close eyes to ethnicity, they have to close eyes to nepotism, they have to close eyes to religion, and they really want to fight it as a war that this country is facing, I think we are talking about
one final word. You know what Prime Minister of Information said recently? He said they cannot proscribe the bandits, and they cannot go and attack the bandits in the forest because it will destroy the ecology of the. Oh my God, whoever says that? I don't have to know. I know that you understand the country we are in. You understand that what I've said. We are in a hopeless situation.
Okay, we're in really precarious times there. Of course, nobody is really happy with all the security issues that we are having, starting from all the abductions and the fact that Leah Sharibu, even though we had Kagara and Kankara students released, schoolboys released, we know that Leah Sharibu is still missing. And of course, the last update we had was she even having a child for one of the heads of the bandits. So I think security operatives really need to step up. These are serious times and serious decisions and penalties, steep penalties, and need to be taken. A lot of people will say even for the abductions, we've not seen penalties given to the perpetrators of this act. Unfortunately, we still have another issue with us there, and of course, that's the differential wage bill. Talking about people now, the workers' salaries. For some time, we know that the Nigeria Labour Congress was clamoring for the minimum wage to be increased to that's 30,000 naira, and even with that, we know that some states have not been able to pay this new minimum wage. Now, according to the House of Representatives, I think one of the bills that passed the second reading was the differential wage bill. Now, in this position now, it will not come from the legislative arm of government or from the federal government. States begin to decide how much they would pay to their workers. If I'm not mistaken, that's more of the interpretation of this particular bill. Now, joining us on the program to discuss this issue is Comrade Amechi Asugene. He's the Deputy President of the Nigeria Labour Congress. Thank you so much for joining us on this program. Yeah, I know I've taken so much of your time. Now, we know that the Nigeria Labour Congress, according to statements now, have opposed this differential wage bill. Let's hear from you. What's your take on this? States having the power, because according to state governors, they have somehow welcomed this idea because they said you cannot compare a state that is doing economically well like Lagos to be given the same wage as a state like in the north. Do you agree with this?
I think one thing that we need to get clear in this matter is the issue of wage is central. And we must also know the importance that brought about having a national minimum wage in the first place. Nobody has told the state not to have its own wage. As a matter of fact, many states have been paying above minimum wage. And so when we talk about removing minimum wage from legislative list, it provokes, and labor is not actually going to slow down in resisting this move, because it is also evident now that the governors actually want to sponsor to see how it can fly. So labor must also be collective in its response, which informs us that we are having our emergency meeting early next week to see how we can use the organ to suggest the appropriate action to resist. But the major thing here is that we should understand the values that are associated with the central minimum wage. Discussing and putting a minimum wage is to allow states to have a benchmark, and then you cannot pay higher. Using Lagos as an example, I agree with you. Lagos should not be paying 30,000. In that case, there should be a renegotiation at the Lagos State chapter to see how they can develop upward. But you have to, if you do against having minimum wage according to state capacity, you will be doing a disservice to the private sectors, because they only refer to governor who is not the employer of the private sectors. So the private sectors have a host of employers who actually believe in profit making, and if you don't put a minimum wage centrally to actually promote decent wage, then employers of labor will also say there is a law that now tells every employer to pay according to their capacity. And trust me, every employer would want workers to work for free. So if you don't use minimum wage to guide all employers across Nigeria, then you will be doing a very disservice to the Nigerian workers' effort in trying to get a decent wage. So Labour eventually frowned at it, and we are doing everything legitimately possible to see how we can collectively resist that very move.
Okay, all right, Nati. Clearly, you've stated that this differential wage bill goes against the interests of Nigerian workers. Now, according to information that we have here, we also know that the Kwara State Nigeria Labour Congress has threatened to down tools any time from now over the failure of the state government to implement the payment of the 30,000 naira minimum wage to all the categories of workers in the state public service. Now, what would you say to that? And looking at the fact that you're also in Lagos State, would you say that Lagos State government has done well in the institution of the payment of the minimum wage?
I think for those states that are actually having challenge of inability to pay minimum wage, to us it remains a shame, because we agree that all fingers are not equal, but we're looking at the wage in question. When states fail to utilize their available resources at their reach to develop and enhance their income in such a way that they're able to generate revenue beyond the already made revenue from oil, then governance becomes very poor. Because if people believe in income to be given to them and then they administer how it's being used, that is never governance. I agree, the position of going on strike is a directive, or rather a resolution reached at the organ meeting of Nigeria Labour Congress last week, where it was resolved that state councils who have failed in this direction should also face workers' resistance. And I think any state whatsoever that has come to issue notice to their employer, especially the state government, they are doing in accordance with the NSC resolution. As for Lagos State and other states that are keeping to terms, we urge them to live above minimum wage, because it is the inability of this state who are doing very well to take up their very salary upward that is making some states say they cannot pay. So the comparison is very wrong. We expect Lagos State, we expect River State, we expect states like Akwa Ibom, Delta State, all these states that are actually, we can see more resources around them, to beef up and pay above minimum wage, so that people will stop complaining that you are any higher than me, I'm paying the same with you. All we have done is to provide a platform, and it's expected that individual states can go higher. It does not violate the law.
For your input on the program.
Thank you. Welcome.
That was Comrade Amechi Asugene, the Nigeria Labour Congress deputy president. And of course, we're talking minimum wage. Now, unfortunately, time is not on our side at all. Yes, but I don't know if they want to say one word on this.
Well, any governor that cannot pay the minimum wage does not have business to be a governor, and there is no state that doesn't have capacity to pay 30,000 naira. The only thing is that they should cut all those expenses. If a governor have 25 special advisors, have 45 special assistants, everything should be cut. And that security vote, it is unlawful, it is barbaric, and can cater for every staff in the state.
All right, thank you so much for your opinion. Thank you so much, Christopher Otaigbe, of course, Noridina Adegbero, and to all those who joined us in the meeting, or rather the program, Professor Patrick Utomi, and of course, Comrade Amechi Asugene. Thank you for joining us on the program. To my beloved audience, thank you for being a part of Editors Forum. Do join us, God's willing, same time, same station next week for another edition of Editors Forum. I am Rita Omodia. God bless Nigeria.